Okay. To start off the interview, tell us a little something about your business. So,
okay. Well, first of all, my name is Randy Vickers, and I'm originally from Miami, but came to Tallahassee by way of FSU. And so I basically got 2 degrees from FSU and decided to stay, and was hired as a high school guidance counselor right out of graduate school. So I've been here all this time and was a guidance counselor for almost 10 years, worked at FSU with the honors program for 3 or 4 years. And it was about that time, in the late 80s, that I decided to start my business.
Okay, so you can say that working with students as a guidance counselor inspired you to open up this type of business?
Oh, very much so.
So you can say that was your inspiration, or is there another drive that you had to start up?
A couple of other drives. First of all, I was frustrated by working within the confines of the school system because I saw too many needs not being met. It had never occurred to me the idea of being my own boss, and really it came down to kind of wanting to do things my way.
Wow. Okay. Well, also, going more into the business aspect of everything, like how did you decide, like the business structures, such as like if you wanted to make it a corporation or proprietorship? Right.
Well, basically, I started the business with 2 other partners who were also educators. So between us, we didn't really have that much business experience in terms of knowing what to do. So we were able to identify an attorney and a CPA, and really used a lot of their advice in terms of what would be the best way to go. So we very quickly settled on being a corporation, and all of us would be officers, and we thought that was the best structure for us. So we continue to be a C corporation, and we've been in business for about 26 years.
Wow, that's a long time. So over the past 26 years, have you stayed with the same group of people? Well,
they left fairly early in the process for various reasons. One partner, the husband, moved to Maine, and the other person, things were not working out fast enough. So she got a little frustrated, so she decided to leave as well. So I almost sort of inherited it by default. And there was a time where I could have either dissolved the business once the second partner left, or finally quit what I was working at full-time at FSU to take the leap and to try to start the business, continue the business on my own.
So you definitely took that risk faster.
It was a big risk, because I had a safe paycheck and basically jobs that I've liked my whole life. So this was a very big risk, but it was definitely worth taking.
Okay. So the people who are overall in charge of the business that are your partners, do you feel like they're the same type of people, or have that position changed accordingly to how the corporation has grown? Well,
at this point, there's how the business is legally structured, and I'm the only officer and the only owner. So I'm the sole owner of the company that happens to use the corporate structure, in terms of our business. In terms of how it's run, I have mainly part-time associates, and they work in different areas. Sometimes they do multiple responsibilities. So we've basically been able to grow with that type of structure.
Okay. How did you go about finding a location for your business? Well, you did say that you're already in Tallahassee, that you've been here, and so you just chose a location near the school.
Right. Initially, we chose an office location near Leon High School, and we've actually moved maybe 3 or 4 times, but all in the same area around Leon High School. Right. So we, on the other hand, we serve people as far away as Georgia, different small cities in Florida, Perry. We've even had students from Pensacola, come to Tallahassee for our services.
Those students that come in from, faraway areas, how did they find out about the corporation?
Either through personal relationships or the internet. It's all over the map, in terms of how people hear about us.
Interesting. Okay. Well, going into the financial aspect of your business, how did you obtain the startup capital to actually begin, putting investment towards this company?
Right. Yeah, basically that was the good part of having 2 other partners, because everybody kicked in a small amount, but collectively we were able to have a little bit of cash, and then we immediately went for a bank loan that we were approved for. So that gave us enough cash. We did not have a lot of overhead because we were mainly a service business. So we just needed a room, tables, and then we hire employees. So in terms of fixed costs and overhead and so forth, it really wasn't all that high. So it actually created probably a smoother, launch in terms of not being caught up in inventory and things like that.
I mean, going back to the different, types of students that actually come into your business, like how, what, and where do you advertise your business? How do you go about contacting students?
Okay. Well, we originally started mainly as a tutorial center. And that was because one of the other partners was a learning disabilities teacher. The other partner was a guidance counselor as well. So we all had our own personal ties to whether it be the schools that we currently worked in or the schools that I used to work in this case it was Lincoln High School. So it was just mainly us maintaining our contacts and networks and reputation, from not just the schools that we worked at, but people that we wound up knowing throughout the school system. So, so people just wound up really learning more about us through word of mouth.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, definitely you had ties to students already from your previous job.
Right,
so
right.
that helped build up your clientele. Actually, and then speaking about human resources, since you did say that you're mostly in charge of everything and you just have hired employees that help you out, how do you select potential employees that you will trust to do a good job? Okay,
well, one of the main resources I use is the resource at FSU, the job board through the Career Center, and they've been extremely helpful in helping us find talent, whether it be tutors, whether it be office workers and things like that. The rest, again, is through networking, through people hearing about different needs that we have. Sometimes people, come in cold and they have the skill set, they pass a probationary period, and then they work out well.
Okay. And when you're actually interviewing students or potential employees, like what do you look for in them, like in their resumes and just in their character? Like how do you decide that they would be a good choice? It would be a good choice to hire them. Okay.
Well, the whole area of human resources is extremely difficult, and it's a little bit of an art and a science. So our process is pretty simple and straightforward. If someone desires employment, we ask them for not only a resume but a cover letter stating very specifically why they're interested in working for us, because we're looking for very special people who can play special roles but very different roles. So then we select our candidates from the resumes and cover letters. Then we'll call the candidate in I'll usually do the first interview. And the line of questions that I ask are basically, tell me your life story in 5 minutes or less. And that's kind of a joke, they can go more than that. The second is what they are doing right now. Are they a student? Do they have another job? Where are they in their life right now? The third is my whimsical yet trick question that I learned from being a counselor is, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I'm wanting to kind of see what their hopes and dreams are, their aspirations, what kinds of things they like to do, which can really say a lot about a person. And then last but not least, the last question is what caught their interest about possibly working with solution skills.
Okay, so you definitely look for people who can connect more to the type of clientele they have, which are
absolutely.
Students.
Absolutely. And our brand is the fact that we're professional, yet we're very personal in everything that we do, whether it be customer service, whether it be the tutoring that we have, things like that.
Definitely. So since you are the owner of this business, was this more like a family business? Like, do you have any family members that also incorporate their time and effort into this company?
No, but that was my early experience. Is my dad inherited a family business. It was a barber supply business that he brought from Alabama down to Miami. So I saw firsthand the good points and bad points of running your own business, and I basically definitely helped my dad, work in that business and really got an up-close look at that. But this current business, no, there's no personal connections in terms of people who work here that are family, but there are staff members that have been with us for a long time. We like to think that we have kind of a family atmosphere with the long time staff that we have.
Right, you have a connection with them after working for so long.
Oh, sure, sure.
That definitely works. see. Okay. Mm. Okay, so there's some general questions like, what kind of day-to-day things do you have to do as the owner of this business?
Well, one of the things that I love about a small business is the sheer variety of different kinds of things that I get to do. Mornings are usually a little bit more quiet in terms of being able to catch up on phone calls and emails and planning and cleaning up clutter and things like that. Mm-hmm. As the day moves forward, then we start, our office gets populated by tutoring appointments and things like that. And then Monday through Thursday is when we have the majority of our tutoring appointments. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening hours is when we tend to have prep classes, whether it be for the GRE, whether it be for the SAT, ACT. Mm-hmm. So when we have classes, we're churning along until 9 o'clock or 9:30 at night. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to have quiet time. Starts to get busy, very busy. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I have people who pretty much are in charge of things. So it's nice to be able to have the variety, but also to have kind of a predictable rhythm in terms of having quiet during the morning and being really busy in the afternoon and evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as the owner, I can imagine that there's no one job. Everything's your job. You have everywhere to be. Everything applies to you because you have to support the business.
Well, absolutely, and which includes maybe visiting schools to check with teachers of students that I'm working with, mm-hmm. To attending public meetings or things. For example, we have a program where we provide free workshops for parents of college-bound students. We get a guest speaker from the Office of Admissions at FSU. And that person usually becomes quite a draw, so we wind up, filling our venue, which only has a capacity of 50. And for example, we have a program tomorrow night that we have a pre-registration of about 75 people. So that scares us a little bit. We've mm-hmm. gotten pretty good at calculating our show rate in terms of the people who actually show up, since it's a free program. But it doubles as a public service, but it's also one of our primary means of publicity, PR. Mm-hmm. By giving away important information that parents need.
Right, definitely. And, that's a different aspect of college life, because it's not just about the students, it's about the parents. So you're helping out both types of people.
Exactly.
Right. And also, what would you say is the worst experience you've had while operating your business?
Two things. When business is not going well, when money's tight, that's part of the deal when you're in business for yourself. Mm-hmm. And those times are very, very difficult in terms of the decisions you have to make and the anxiety. The other part is, from time to time, rarely we'll have a negative customer, that can kind of, ruin your day or something like that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, we're very lucky to have a clientele that really likes us, appreciates us, and spreads the word to the community. So mm-hmm. The vast majority of experience is extremely positive, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
Of course. Right, so you do what you love, and you also worked with people that they're agreeable, and they make it creates a good atmosphere.
Oh, sure. So I've been able to really find an area that I really enjoy, that I really have a passion for, mm-hmm. and then the other aspect of being my own boss is unbelievable, in terms of how it's worked out for me.
Okay. Well, that being said, what is the best advice you can give someone that wants to start out their own business?
I would say talk to business owners like you're doing right now. There are so many different scenarios of how people go into business. When I was a guidance counselor working at FSU, mm-hmm. I would have called myself the last candidate to have ever seen myself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and things like that. And now I can't imagine myself in any other position. So it's talking to people, doing research. Even something that a lot of times people don't do is to read magazines that have a lot of current stories of how people get their business started. There's magazines like Wired or Inc. and a couple of others that mm-hmm. always have great stories of people around the country, even around the world, doing startups, in completely different areas, especially when you have the internet and you have mm-hmm. an internet-based business, right. like a lot of other people do. Sometimes people just have no idea where to start or what mm-hmm. they could see themselves doing. So you want to get some good ideas, but to make sure that they resonate with the kinds of things that you're interested in.
Of course, right. So research is a really big part
Absolutely,
of it.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I would like to thank you for taking the time to help me out and letting me interview and everything. It's really appreciated. And all of the information that you've given me is really helpful, and it gives a good insight on what it takes to start up a business and all the efforts that go into it. So.
Okay, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Let's see.